Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's the Leblanc Cafe Podcast. My name is Arcos, and who the heck are you guys?
Hello, I'm the co-host, and today we have our special guest.
Yep, this is Lonely Support. First time talking to anybody stream-wise.
The Lonely Support?
Yes.
Supports loneliness.
I've read your work.
No, you haven't. I'm respecting you.
I have not. Sorry, I've been busy.
It's fine. Don't worry. But yeah, probably if you want to call it fame, which is still very small, the main thing I did is known is for writing the Kawakami fic. Yep.
Where can you find that?
It's both on fanfiction.net or Archive of Our Own. Title is The FIFA Light Made of Shadows.
All right, you'll have to send me those again so I can properly put them in the description below when this goes up on YouTube.
Sure thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so we have is it two artists or
it
one?
Would count it three artists, one literary and two visual.
True,
three if you count the visuals like that you use in your imagination.
True. The art is in the writing.
Oh, I thought I was gonna burp. I'm sorry.
I was like, what's up with the silence here?
It was just that bad.
It's not awkward silence. I thought I had to burp. I always record before after eating. I do not have any topics because I literally just thought, oh wow, I might as well let Lonely do the heavy lifting with giving us like a little synopsis of his work. But yeah, we are recording live from the basement of Leblanc Cafe.
You mean attic?
Yeah,
again?
I don't know why I say.
You just like basements, don't you?
I don't know. Of course you would point that out. You love being the sub.
Hey. Shut up. We don't talk about that business.
We don't kink shame here. I let my girl win at video games, but in reality I just tell her loser has to win. I mean, loser has to kiss winner, and I'll purposely lose on purpose. Redundancy, yes, I know.
Loser has to do whatever the winner does once. Now lay it on me.
Well, looks like my controller's busted. I'm not even touching it.
The joystick is all janked up.
To be fair, knowing Futaba, she'd probably get upset with. He's like, no, I'm beating you for real.
No, John.
I'm beating you. We're going at this full power. And it's funny because last episode we did like a whole segment, or like majority of it was talking about Dragon Ball.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Dragon Ball. I'm gonna try and stay focused on both things because the thing is I am drawing over here. But let me look for some topics. We're probably gonna record for like an hour and 30 minutes. Let me set up my timer.
Hopefully, she doesn't bother you while you draw.
She's busy at the moment.
Probably hacking into something then.
Probably. Let's see. I'm looking for topics. Google News.
So how did you know?
Oh God, no! Google.
No. I'm gonna ask this, but what made you get into writing?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question.
The fun thing is that basically before writing my fanfic, one, I almost never read any fanfics, and two, I almost never read any novels or books, period. Like, the most literature I did was basically, like, guides and manga.
And whatever you had to be forced to read in reading class.
Whatever I was forced to read at school, and by read is basically, like, try reading it, get tired, buy one of those synopsis books from, like, Borders bookstore, and use that for my project.
I miss Borders.
I mean, most of my.
I was terrible reader, but here's the thing. Basically, it all became a chain of events. Basically, first of all, it's obviously started playing Persona 5, and all the romances option, all the girls. Kawakami was the one that spoke to me the most, and this is from someone who is a very big fan of romances. If you talk to my wife, it's kind of funny. I'm the biggest sap out of the two of us. I'm the one way more into the cutesy stuff, the more romance, the relationship stuff, and basically, so for me, like her romance was probably my favorite of all of them, and just because, let's face it, it is in the end a relationship with a teacher. So when you think of that, what most people think is, oh, very fetish feel, very jokey, very like sexy talk. But when you see it, it's so genuine and so
Like
loving.
it's not like the typical, oh, I love the teacher just because she's hot. It's more like the way I see it is like it's like a mother trying to like help the son, but then
I actually don't know. I don't even see it that way. It's mostly just basically the fact that despite her being older, the two always felt like equals. Like she worries about him and like tries to take care of him, but at the end of the day, he tends to take care of her also. Like
true.
And he kind of sort of becomes Akira, which is the name I tend to refer Joker mostly to.
Yeah.
Mostly because it's the first one I learned, and also I'm not the biggest fan of Ren Maria. I tend to associate that name with the anime, which I hate with a dying passion.
No, yeah, it makes sense.
So, like, if you give me an excuse, I will rant about why that anime is atrocious sin, for a few exceptions.
The beach scene with
no, not even that. Not even that. Like the Valentine's. Yeah, I still love that scene, but like the Valentine's special, like the fact that they actually gave a scene for each of the girls individually, like that, I will always praise the Valentine's special, which sadly didn't get dubbed.
But still, he's a man whore.
No, that's you and Narukami.
Yes, I know.
Narukami is the man. He's the Chad that doesn't even have to be a Chad.
He's unintentionally a Chad.
But no, but as I was saying, like for what the relationship was, I was honestly really surprised at how well they handled it and how genuine it felt. And so I became a really big fan. But two things. Obviously, she is not one of the main group girls. She is a confidant, like a side confidant. Number two, she is one of the older confidants. And number three, she's a teacher. So you either A, didn't get that many people that are fans really think of her, or C, you get really aggressive haters.
Kind of like the Futaba fans.
Yeah, which is something I talked with Aruka is basically like Futaba's and Kawakami fans tend to like understand each other because they both dealt the like this disingenuous like accusations of terrible things just because you enjoyed the pairing.
Yeah, well, and then you look back at the relationship or like the dynamic between both characters and the main character. It's a good one.
Yeah,
and then us Haru fans are non-existent.
Haru, no,
you don't exist.
Although Haru fans exist, and I say this half jokingly, but they exist because rejecting Haru is one of the most painful rejections in the game.
Well, no, duh. You don't want to say no to a cute face. You do not want to say no to a cute face.
You know that when you say no, when you reject her after the like coworker basically points it out, like you know she went crying to her room after like shit.
Oh my god!
She genuinely cares for you.
I honestly picked her as my second option on my second playthrough because I didn't want to deal with that. But then I realized, you know what? Fuck. rejecting Kawakami and befriending her instead of dating her way too much, and then I did a third playthrough, went back to Sadayo.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I originally did not. Oh, by the way, I hope this is. I'm not recording this exactly. This is all.
Hello, Dreamer.
Live. Oh yeah, hey Dreamer. I just want to point this out. Sorry for breaking the fourth wall. But I'm letting Picardo archive this, and I'll just grab the audio that way, just in case you were wondering. And hopefully it works, which it has.
Hopefully.
It archives my work. It archives my work. While you were talking, I was checking. But what I wanted to get to is I originally did not romance Futaba. That's a little confession of mine, because I did not know how the romance system worked. But because I originally want to romance Futaba, and I'm like, your relationship will not blossom right now. I'm like, fuck, it's like high school all over again.
Yeah,
that was my experience. And then not Kawakami, Takemi. Yeah, Takemi was the one. Tai Takemi.
Yeah. I've done 4 playthroughs. Basically, first one was Sadayo, but I did it after the Hawaii. Like, I literally, for fun fact, that people haven't tried romancing Sadayo, and basically, unlike all the other romances, she doesn't become your girlfriend at rank 9. Like, unlike all the others, like, oh, you confess to them at rank 9, you're dating. So I don't know. She freaks out and leaves, and she doesn't go back to you until rank 10. This is particularly specific because I was trying to get her romance, and for her confidant, you cannot progress it to rank 9 and 10 until school starts, because there are events that occur at school.
Okay, makes sense. I don't remember that exactly, but I do believe it, though.
Basically, so you go rank 8, then at rank 8, after that, you go see her at school when she decides to tell no to Takases, and they show up, and fuck them. And basically, and then you deal with the mementos. Then you, at rank 9, you talk to her, and you can either friend her or romance her. If you romance her, she freaks out when you confess to her and leaves.
Okay, so no, for a second I thought you were talking about Takemi. Yeah, because I have not romanced her. Yes, Sadayo. Sorry.
Takemi is odd because, and not I would say not to anything, because I really love Takemi also, but
I like
Takemi odd where she chastises you the whole you're younger than me, I shouldn't date you. Okay, I'm dating you anyway.
He's like, I shouldn't be doing this, but you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
She's a drug dealer. She'll.
Sadayo, no, that's the thing. She's not technically a drug dealer. That's just rumors that.
No, yeah, I know.
But no, Sadayo, that's the thing. Sadayo's legit freaks out and goes just give me some time. Give me some time.
I'm not saying no. I'm not saying no.
I said no, but no. She actually said no way. As when I mean no way, I don't mean no. I mean
No, I'm just saying I'm not saying no, but I can't accept right now.
Yeah, but the problem for me was that I got rank 9 the day before Hawaii. So you're saying, you imagine someone who expecting the romance to be at 9 because I played the other Persona games, and then she just goes, Kawakami left you hanging, waiting, delayed her response, and then you go to Hawaii.
Oh my god. No, yeah, I can see that.
Because I wasn't dating her, I didn't get to the date with her on my first playthrough.
I think I did go out with her on the Hawaii date. At least
you cannot go with her. No, you cannot go with her unless you're dating her.
Really?
Yes, you cannot date Kawakami on Hawaii.
Oh no, I guess I didn't.
I went with I was about to say I went with Kawakami. No, I went with Makoto.
Yeah, Makoto, Hifumi are there, and
I think it was Hifumi for me then.
Yeah, you can go with them even if you're not dating, but you have to have high rank. An and Kawakami are there, but you have to be dating them for them to be options.
And why did my girl Futaba not get a? It would have been cool if she was just using like a voice call thing. It would have been great.
Yep. Yeah, and so second playthrough, I was like,
aloha to you.
I was like, yeah, basically, second playthrough, because I was basically trying to get all the achievements and all the stuff. I was like, you know what? I didn't get to do much with Haru because of the damn needing proficiency 5 to even like do her confidant, and I was not there yet, which did not give me time to finish hers in the first playthrough. So let me do hers. Like I never got to do hers, and then when I said like when the platonic, I can't even say the word, the friendship route with Sadayo.
Friend
like,
zone.
The friend zone with her. Rank 10 friend is cute and adorable. And I did take some of that stuff into my story because it was just too adorable. But it hurts so bad not being able to date her. So basically, like, I went... after I nearly finished playthrough 2 and did playthrough 3 just to like not cheat on Haru and go back to Sadayo. And then it was Royal, which I went to Sadayo hands down.
Yeah, no, that was me with Futaba originally too. I actually 100%ed the campaign with Futaba just because I was following a guide. I mean, I don't care. I want full
Hey, guides are good. You don't have to always do it by yourself. It's always good to do it.
The thing
if
is,
you don't know what to do, use a guide.
I want New Game Plus, like, so I can, in case I want to use it later.
Yeah, but going back to the very beginning of the discussion, we got sidetracked, Harley. But yeah, basically, I saw all this negativity targeted at her. A lot of them basically attacking her character,
comparing her to Kamoshida.
To Kamoshida or prostitute or used goods and all that stuff, or a predator.
Oh my god!
And it's like, so I actually started in appreciation for Fred in the GameFAQs forums. That's where it started. I created my name, Lonely Support, which was supposed to be a throwaway name, by the way.
No, what was the throwaway name supposed to be?
Hmm?
What was the forename? Well, what was the meaning behind it?
It's basically just like throwing support, like even though it feels like nobody cares.
No, yeah, it makes sense.
But basically, I started interacting with the appreciation, and I started making these thread chains. They were called basically reflection on Sadayo Kawakami, and they were these thread chains, posts, like really long ones that I post, explaining, not reflecting back on the character of Sadayo Kawakami and what was it about her that really drew me into her, what got me so invested in her, to the point that basically I had to have a realization like, oh shit, I actually have a waifu now. It's one of those things like, yeah, if people have waifu, that's cute, that's funny, and all that stuff, and then it hits just like, shit, I have a waifu.
No, makes sense.
Sorry to like go off with the whole story for a bit, but who and we heard like your first what's it called, your first waifu. Akira, who was your first waifu, and first definitive one?
Well, it depends.
Outside of Persona.
Because that's the thing. Do we count first cartoon anime crushes?
Because when I was younger,
because that's too young.
When I was younger, I had a major crush on Kitty Pryde from X-Men Evolution, and I consider that one to be like my first waifu. If we want to go for like video games, I originally started with I think technically Princess Daisy, because that was technically she would have been the first princess I would have saved, because I think that was my first video game.
Super Mario Land from the Game Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for me, like, I wouldn't consider waifu because, like I just found her attractive and enjoyed her. But the first character I had a crush on was April O'Neil from the really old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cartoon, the reporter one with the yellow jumpsuit.
The one where the turtles looked all kind of dumb.
Yeah, the one more
Always
goofy looking.
Yeah.
Basically.
The ones that look like they belong on Nick Jr. I'm sorry. I heard that I heard that somewhere, and it was. I couldn't resist.
I wouldn't say that bad. Like, I mean, the one from Nickelodeon looked more like Nick Jr. and they're not bad. I'm talking more like the '80s, like very corny, very cheesy.
Radical.
Liners. Yeah, basically.
Yeah, those.
Like,
I'm familiar with those.
The '80s in its entirety form, basically.
Yeah, the one that almost everybody's nostalgic for, pretty much.
Yeah. Basically, that was the first character I was ever attracted to, but Soraya was the one I was the most invested on. Like, the one that made me go, like, she's attracted to, I will do everything I can to make her happy. I will protect her. But basically, like, the chain of threads were basically, I had different sections going from what I like about her design. One of the posts had me explaining that if you think about it, if the story went any darker or deeper or like more continuity with this plot, Sadayo is one of those that would have been very close to forming a palace in the same vein as Futaba, as in someone who's had distorted desires based on guilt and self-harm.
Now that you mention it, yeah, that makes sense.
It would have been.
Like, she was destroying herself, killing herself, basically working to pay the apology money, and I think the obviously the mechanical reason why, because the game designer wouldn't be able to work that into the story, and partially, but the story wise, I think twofold is one. In the end of even with all that she got inside her, there's still that desire to cheat, even if she's forgotten about it herself, which is part of her confidant is helping her regain that desire and her drive to do so. But also, I feel that Akira's involvement in alleviating the stress and giving her a peace of mind helped mitigate that somewhat. And it's one of those.
Basically, he's like the linchpin. I guess.
Like he became her sanctuary, basically.
Yeah, because she does talk about. I think she does talk about like what happened before. Like she was led to that kind of life.
Yeah, like she was a teacher who did seem to care about her students,
but then with one student, she cared so much that she.
It's not even so much, it's just that she felt bad for him and she wanted to be a proper teacher. It's like, no, this student clearly has smart and has the will to learn. It's just that his living arrangement will prevent him from studying, so let's help him study, do some tutoring. And this is, I think, part of the thing that really drew her to me. Twofold is one, when I was a kid, I also kind of had trouble learning, and one of the teachers helped me study. She was a tutor to me for some time, and she helped me a lot. So I understood her desire to help Taiki, the student. But also, when I was younger, I had watched all these TV shows, cartoons, anime, movies about teachers going above and beyond what people expect them to help their students and help them grow.
Stand and deliver type of deal, right?
Yeah, Great Teacher Onizuka is the biggest one in my mind, if you know about that one. It is an anime involving a biker gang gang leader who decides to become a teacher. It basically looks like he's very shallow desires, just because he gets to be with high school girls. But the effort he puts into his students and helping them is inspiring, basically. It's crazy, obviously, and unrealistic, but it's a really good series. I recommend, honestly.
I'll
And
have to give it a shot.
honestly talks about a lot of the problem that Kawakami's confidant Sadayo, I keep going back and forth. Sadayo's confidant discusses how basically like because of her efforts of trying to help the student instead of just disregarding and throwing him away, the school wanted her to shove him out under the bus. Like, no, stop that! You're not supposed to help him. He's too low gone. He's affecting our standing.
No, yeah, that makes sense.
And there's talk about rumors. Now the game makes it vague on what the rumors are about him being a delinquent and all that stuff. I have my own perspective. I think that part of it was also her fear of being seen as too close to the student, and she backed away for fear of losing her job.
Because of that damn Kamoshida.
No, because remember, this was before Kamoshida.
Yeah. Well, no, I think it was. Well, I think
I'm talking about
You're getting close. Kind of like the
we're talking about
porcupine
Taiki.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about Taiki's situation, what caused her to let go of him and tell him he won't be able to help him anymore. And I feel that a part of her did feel pressured by the school that she was getting too close to a student and that the rumors would hurt her in the end. And she felt bad that she let those rumors and speeches stop her from doing what was best for her student. And that was bad enough as it was. But obviously, as I like to call Persona 5 syndrome, death syndrome happened, and he had into a car accident. And the reason I say this specifically, if you look into it, a lot of terrible accidents happen via vehicle manslaughter.
Oh, no duh. From the train accidents to...
Train, Wakaba,
Oh, Sumi or Sumi.
Royal spoilers.
That's why I said Sumi.
Taiki.
Sumi.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which one.
Also, even
the principal.
The principal, Makoto's dad.
Makes sense. Then again,
Even
a lot
Striker spoilers also involve something involved vehicular manslaughter.
Jeez, I guess Persona 5 is mainly about vehicle slaughter.
But then again, I like to be fair, a lot of anime uses the manslaughter because I remember in Detective Conan, the guy is trying to it's you don't really need the. I'll just give you like the vague plot points. I remember that the kid, this guy is romances a girl. Apparently, he ends up poisoning her, and she accepts the poison. Apparently, the dad of the girl was a cop. The guy's mom was in a car accident, and he was telling her, "Hey," I mean, he was telling the cop like, "Hey, come and help me." Like, oh, I got no time. I'm trying to catch someone, and I think he was directly, like, I think he was in the car that ran the mom over. And then he basically like, "Oh, I'll kill your daughter," is basically what the guy did. And he said, "Why didn't you kill me? Why didn't you kill me? And why kill my daughter?" Is basic. I remember that was the plot point.
That's saying basically, but no, if Sodayu is one of those characters that I basically felt like would if the game was more like open-ended on how far the character could go, is someone who, if you didn't get into her confidant quickly enough, one day she just stopped showing up from school.
That would make it.
That would make it grim.
Oh yeah, no, this is one of the things. I honestly believe Sadayu's fate is one of those most low-key, darkest. Darkest. Tragedies if you don't complete her confidant.
You know,
it's one of the reasons why I always push people to finish her, even if you don't romance her and you befriend her. Finish her, one, because her skills are amazing and top tier, but two is because she should not be left to that situation.
Indeed.
because a lot of people don't know it, and this is why I always get annoyed when people suggest that she is escort, call service, like the sexual kind. One of the option in the hospital, if you pick it's the sister location. She specified that they do those kinds of special services.
The
sister location.
Yeah, I was gonna say the sexual favors.
Yeah. Which basically makes it very clear that the branch she was working up wasn't that kind of service, but the push that the Takases were straining on her was pushing her towards doing that.
You know what that reminds me of? You know how if you don't finish the palace within the time dates, you actually do see the consequences of those actions.
The consequences
of, so it would have, like, if you said the game had like that sort of dynamic, yeah, I could see that happening, where like, oh, your teacher doesn't, for some reason, hasn't been showing up
teacher
to school
just stuff showing up.
Yeah, that would make so much sense. It would kind of encourage you to 100% the game.
Yeah, but obviously they know not everybody can not everybody can 100% their confidence. They don't want to make people feel any worse already for it.
No, yeah, I get that.
But because because of the fact that you only learn about this from one choice option, which doesn't even give you affinity points, I feel like a lot of people don't realize how dire her situation was.
No, yeah, man.
It makes complete sense.
It makes, like hypothetically, and it makes too much sense not to pay attention to it.
Yeah, like,
would you? Oh, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. No,
would you think? Oh my goodness! Okay, you talk.
Yeah, it's kind of how, like, in the 4th rank, there's an option which can be skippable, but I feel impacts her emotions so much more. Basically, when she talked about how she looks, about how what people think of her dressed as a maid, and she like goes, I think I look really damn good at maid, and then she writes, wait, am I the only one that thinks this? And you can go like, I think you look great, or insult her, or you should value yourself more, like, and all. You should love yourself more, and all that stuff. Most people are always going to go with the, like, I think you look great. And that gives you a decent more affinity points, so people pick that. But if you go for it, you should have more confidence in yourself option, which people might find neutral, but also still gives you decent points. Her response is, and it's very telling, and it was the first moment that I realized, oh, this is serious, was, oh, I just don't feel like I'm worth being loved.
Which she is.
Yes, no. Again, there's a very reason why that moment is so easily avoidable, but it's so pivotal. Dreamer has a credit. You should love yourself more. And it's so easily missable, just like the explanation of the sister location, but I feel explains her situation so perfectly that a lot of people miss it.
I don't think anyone has heard these words before. Probably because they don't play. I used to play Overwatch a lot back then. Wait, no. Let me finish. God damn it!
Yeah, finish.
I always have a fucking problem with everyone interrupting me. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to stay quiet.
It's just the main theme in my life. But sorry to bring my real life into it. But
it's fine.
As Genji once said, to know yourself is to be at peace.
No, and don't worry, I actually have the similar problem, and it's why whenever I get the chance to speak, I'm way more wordy than I usually am. Like, I've had that problem where I'm trying to speak with friends, and I tend to be like, but yeah, no. I will say that I think a lot of people have seen the line, I don't feel like I'm worth being loved, because it still has some signs of this is the right choice. So it can go either way. It's the sister location where still almost nobody has picked that unless you're purposely trying to find information. Because the obvious choice is think about this a bit more when she's discussing going into the sister location or get some rest.
Yeah. What's the? I forget what it's called. I always feel like there are like the pure options that Kurosu would actually say, and like you said, you'll still get the same affinity points, but I feel like okay, this one's pretty neutral, but I don't feel he would say this to him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always joke around I'll use this example, when Morgana is in the real world, and like, are you listening to this? I feel like he would say meow, like, this
Yes.
is not the time
Yes.
to be joking around, but I feel like he would because like the type of situation they're in, it would warrant him saying meow.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to support your claim.
Yeah. Speaking of the whole shadow thing, I actually a couple of months ago had artists that I usually commission my story images and such, which is actually the profile pic I tend to use on Discord. My representation, how I feel her shadow would be, and I actually showed it to Arukas, so he knows which one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
and it tends to be more slave-like, more
it looks very somberish, like not edgy but somber, as in
yes,
like...
and
it's like the chains of her, what's it called? Not rebellion. God damn it, Shay. It's like the chains of her sorrow,
slavery,
guilt, her guilt and self-loathing.
Are holding her down because of the incident of what happened to her back then, and then the whole incident of what's happening with Akira is probably giving her like more,
like letting her go, like but the thing is, when I did those posts, it stopped being me explaining what I like about Sadayo, and more me kind of having this retelling of the events of the Confidant and how I felt they went through. Like adding my views on certain events and certain situations, how I felt that one of the big things is that Sadayo at first wasn't really trusting of Akira. She was like, this guy knows who I am, he knows where I work, this could be trouble. I mean, he's willing to pay, like, I don't really feel comfortable about this, but I need the money, which is something that I think the anime screwed up royally.
I like that pun, or that play on words.
And as I went on, a lot of the people responding were like, are you a fanfic writer? Like, have you written a story? Like, nope. This is all, like, on the back of my head, that's writing of the wind. But because people really enjoyed it, they were like, you should write a fanfic. You should write a fanfic. And during this time, I was hitting it had been a couple of months after the game had released, and the content for Sadayo was dwindling. Like, again, she wasn't the most popular girl, so art of her, especially good art of her, because I always clarify it, I'm not one of those that thinks any art is good art. There is garbage art, especially the more like offensive kind of stuff.
No,
but
that makes sense.
Good stuff with her.
Okay,
was
I got it.
really...
What you mean? You mean tasteful, like tasteful.
Yes, probably tasteful is good word.
Tasteful and not untasteful, like
because anybody can just like draw something lewd, but if you want to, like, I try to be what's the word I use? Like, I try to stay in canon. Like, I always tell people, like, I would never draw Futaba in a banana suit without at least putting some thought into it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't try to be like the people who draw her like, oh, she's a meme. She's probably like the meme lord of the group.
Like, she probably is, but I'm like, that's not the aspect that I like about her. She sounds like a Redditor. I'm like, okay, that's fine, whatever. Blame the writing, not Futaba.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you have a character that basically spends her whole day on the internet, or most of her life on the internet.
She is a more subtle freakazoid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I forgot
A
about
likable one.
Freakazoid. Oh. But this
A
is
likable
my
one.
life. That's so sad.
But no, basically, so I started running out of material, and while looking Google, I saw a fanfic called, and this was the first fanfic I ever read called Temperance and Sin. It was written by Cosmic Sky, and what it was an expansion on the rank 9 and 10. So basically, taking those two events and expanding on them, giving Akira a voice, explaining what Sadayo went through between those two ranks, and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, this is really good. This isn't like, it's one of those things, like, because of how little content you get with the romance, you go like, oh, this is giving you more.
Like, people like
And
to expand
You're not good. Like, you
their
basically
thoughts
go the
on-
extra mile to get some more info.
Yeah, and then another fanfic by Mitsutani Toni, with one of many, was Reunion, Roads, and Rewards. And basically, this is the first he did in a series of other stories, all focused on Akira and Sadayo, long past the events of the game where they're adults.
Well, where Akira is an adult.
Yeah, well, yeah, Akira is adult and they're living together and all this stuff. Yeah, but and it was being able to read about the characters after years in the game, like especially when it's in character and makes sense. It's like there's really enjoyable stuff, like basically like what would happen if Kawakami got pregnant. What would happen with how would her parents feel about her dating a student? How Akira's parents feel about him dating his teacher, and like what the Phantom Thieves feel when they find out about this. And he has his own version. He takes some liberties in some aspects, but it's almost an enjoyable read. And reading these stories, I got, and having the people really interest, I started reading more fanfics, looking for good fanfics, and enjoying them. But one thing that always felt lacking was every fanfic that I read with them and focused on their relationship was always after they became a couple. Or if it was them before a couple, it took this route different to what the game was. Like,
yeah, makes sense.
And it's one of the things that I thought one of the things I always enjoy in forming in relationship is to build up. Now, I don't like it when they take forever, but I do feel it's important to build up that relationship, show what it was that got them interested and attracted to one another. Especially when you have a situation with Sadayo and Akira, where at the very beginning, they're not at the friendliest of terms.
Like, yeah, you're kind of causing her problems.
Like, she wants nothing to do with you.
Because of your recent history.
Because of the history, because of her past, and all this stuff.
And then here comes someone else with problems.
Yep, and obviously at the beginning of the game, you're kind of tired of everybody putting you down, and including your own teacher. So to have that first impression be that way, but slowly, because of the weird circumstances that they ended up with, where he ended up calling her by accident, and she was the only one that was there to find out her identity, and plus having her deal with his interaction, it forced them to actually get to know each other, not just as student and teacher, and which is one of the big aspects I always specify about the relationship. Yes, they're student and teacher. Their relationship wasn't built on that. It was built on them being individuals that he just happened to be associated at school. When she calls her Becky,
he likes her because of her, not for the scandalous events of it's the teacher.
It's like when he interacts with her, it isn't like interacting with her teacher, dealing with schoolwork and all that stuff. It is the tired woman, Sadayo Kawakami, who just happens to
be the teacher,
be a maid that he can hire. Yeah, the teacher is a secondary aspect, and it is a conflicting aspect that has cost. It can be a roadblock, but it is a roadblock that they're worth consider trudging through it. And basically, like, I always enjoyed that the fact that the relationship always felt so naturally building up in the game. Like how basically she goes, you learn about her kindness, her compassion, how she starts to trust you, how she starts to rely on you, like how she specified that she lets her guard down on with him because he knows both sides of her life.
Yeah, similar to
Like-
Persona 4, where they're well, you've seen both ugly sides of Yukiko and Chie. They can finally like it's like putting your worst foot forward, and basically, like,
Yeah.
you've seen the worst of me.
saw-
Now let's move on from there.
Yeah, he's seen the worst of her, but he's still willing to be there with her. And it's one of those things that I always kind of emphasize, like, if nobody was willing to see her at her worst, they don't deserve her at her best. And why I think Akira is perfect. It's one of the reasons why I think he's perfect for her. Because he did see that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I never saw that kind of like build up in the story. So you know how to say, if you want it and you don't see it, make it yourself.
basically
and-
me with the
Indeed.
Futaba art.
And that's honestly how it started. Like I said, I never written a heavy story. I've never been a writer. I've never been a reader. But just that desire to see that story be written, and also putting my perspective on how the relationship go, my interpretation of how Akira is as a person, and how the two of them gel and basically complement each other as two sides of the coin. Akira being more rebellious, more and Yu-Gi-Oh, more optimistic, although a bit serious at time, but also just as hardworking as Sadayo, and caring and willing to go forward when needed. And Sadao being obviously the more realistic, more mellow, more mature, but at the same time, because of Akira being able to be more energetic, getting that youth that she lost, that drive, that passion. And so I started writing. And this is something I specify later on, but I always feel some people don't realize. My first chapters are not the greatest for obvious reasons.
Of course, that's how everyone starts. They start making stuff that doesn't look as great, but then as they keep growing and growing,
it doesn't help.
Even better.
It doesn't help that English is not my first language. So
Oh,
I
and
had
that too, I guess so.
Yeah, my wife, bless her heart, did help me as best she could with editing and the typos and such.
Yeah,
But it still wasn't perfect. Around chapter 5 or 6, a friend of mine, Somebody Lost, basically was really enjoying my story and offered to help me proofread them. And after that, my quality improved exponentially, and I owe a lot of my improvements to her help, like a lot. And yeah, the story basically starts right at the night where Sadajo gets called for Operation Maidwatch. There's two aspects of the story that I wanted to focus on, which I think also makes it very different to other general stories. Number one, the story mainly, but not always, focuses on Sadajo's point of view.
like make
so
the world around them feel alive. Like it doesn't just revolve around her.
It's not even just that. It's more the fact that as you know, like, we focus our story in game with Akira and the Phantom Thief.
Yeah,
But you have to wonder, like,
What's everyone else's life?
How must everybody feel when they say? Imagine all the teachers dealing with all the stuff with the Phantom Thief rumors. Like, imagine Sadayo having to deal with all this stuff and her students constantly talking about this. And
Especially when she knows, like, the Phantom Thieves leader is Akira, when, like, she
later
figures
on
it out.
Yes, but also because this one thing that the game also portrays, but especially in my story, the weight and the damage Kamoshida did for the school. Because this is the thing, Kamoshida's actions reverberates throughout the game. Like even near the end, you can still feel the effects of what he did.
Yeah.
So imagine the teachers having to deal with that.
Like he basically came and ruined everything for all these teachers. Like now they had to go through investigations. Like what business did they have with all of this? And just someone that wasn't even that's not even an accredited teacher. It was just somebody, just some rando that just happened to like won some medal, as Ryuji just said.
It's an Olympian, it's an Olympian medalist who basically joined the school, and the principal
like kissing his boots, and that's it.
But and to be fair, some of the other teachers also kiss and boot, and that's the thing. Like it wasn't all for one. Like there were clearly teachers that knew what was going on and didn't care because of the standing.
But they turned a blind eye towards it.
Yeah. And there are teachers, which, like I believe Sadayo is one of them, who honestly did not know. Like because of her situation, she didn't pay attention to what's going on. She just cared about getting paid, doing her minimum effort job, and then going and get more paid. And she didn't want to get involved with students because she felt terrible and felt that if she tried getting involved, she'd only hurt them more, not realizing that all the terrible things that were happening under her nose. And again, and as she points out in the game, it's like she did not know all this. To her, Kamoshida honestly felt like a good person who was hardworking and dedicated.
Like she wasn't reading in between the lines.
Yes, she wasn't looking deep into what her students were going through. She just saw like, and this is something I emphasize in my story a bit, is how she must have felt seeing this teacher who she felt like he was everything she wished she could be. Someone who, when the rumor said she was abusing, just treated it as a joke, like, it's just people being jealous, and kept going forward. He was the one that, even despite all this, still was held in his desire and worked on what he wanted to do. And to her, it felt like he was an honest man who basically didn't care about what people said about him and just wanted to get things done right. And after what she went through, after her backing down because of rumors, after her desire to want to help people hurt those, I could see her actually admiring him as a dedicated teacher and someone she wished she could be, only to find out that the person she thought was very respectable was the worst kind of scum. And that probably didn't help with her self-esteem, knowing that she let this happen.
Especially right under her nose at the same place that they go to.
Yes. And it's not like I don't go heavy into it, but I feel it's something that it happens. Like, it's something that she must have struggled with. It's just that feeling of you don't know the people as much as you think you do. And then everybody tries to hide stuff.
Yeah.
Just hearing how you think about Kawakami is actually, it makes pretty sense. I'm like, whoa, he's putting a lot of depth into her.
Oh no! Again,
true though.
There's a reason why I tend to be very pinpoint of why I feel about certain facts. It's because I do my best to do two things: make sure all the characters that are good characters, like doing the Kamoshida, but every character that is not an evil person shown in a positive light. I always hate it when a fanfic trashes on a character because the writer doesn't like the character.
Yeah, like sometimes the villains do need a bit of redemption.
And it's not even a villain. Sometimes even some of the secondary characters get, like, Morgana and Ryuji are frequent characters that I've seen writers treat them like trash just because they're not the biggest fan of them.
Yeah, no, that's understandable.
But yeah, it's one of those things that I always do my best to show every character in a positive light, because you have to, because a lot of people, I feel, act like they judge the character based on their person knowledge, like them as their knowledge as a player, not trying to understand how they must have felt at that moment in their position. And it's something I try to do my best of because, again, one of the things I enjoy doing is looking around the world and thinking like how they must have felt, why did they do the decisions that they do. It's also why I kind of give the teachers a more sympathetic tone. I put Miss Shono, for example, as a genuinely caring teacher who can be a bit headstrong. She is definitely kind of intimidating, but she means well.
Especially when she's like, nagging, not nagging, but like
nagging nagging at Sadayo. Because again, they are in a strenuous position. Like, she has, as much as people trying to not like her for doing that, they are in a very precarious position, and any scandals, any teachers that are not putting the effort can be trouble after all they went through. So obviously she's going, you don't show up you tend to leave meetings early, you leave early, like you're never there. What are you doing?
And then that's when you come up and you cover for Kawakami.
Yeah, but like Shono is, I feel like someone who is genuinely caring, just a bit headstrong about it. I put Ushimaru, the hardhead of the that throws the shock at you. I always have him be a bit of a stick on the mud, but stickler to the rule. Like, you know how he's very strict, like decent human being. Like, he is not. He's a hardhead. He is the tough love kind of person. He is not bad. He is harsh. And he is not the kind of that I feel will abuse a student. He is just someone that expects better from you. And it doesn't like how lazy people are nowadays.
Yeah, I could see that. Like, rework the stuff to make it more human.
To show them as more than just caricature, and more
just the one-note characters. Like, give reason why they're.
And this is important because these are Sadayo's co-workers. These are the people that she interacts frequently.
Especially they're your teachers too.
Yes, that too. And that's honestly why I focus on the ones that you interact with, because considering all the scandals and the teachers that left, the fact that they still remain as they are makes me feel that they're some of the few that did not honestly know what was going on. And so I try to represent them as teachers just trying to figure out and put order to the school in their own ways. Some not the best, some doing their best. But not inherently bad people. And no, it's basically... but yeah, the story is focused on Sadayo, how the events of the game happen from her perspective. So you see, I put instances of talking from news or from other people, kind of hinting at where they are in the game story events. For example, like, one of them is Sadayo is going to talk with Akira when Ryuji, and Mishima are talking about Medjit, basically. It's that scene in the cafeteria you see in game where basically they ask about him and basically he explains about the online hacker group and all that stuff. Like, I put that scene, but it's more something she sees from a distance and goes to. But the other aspect that I put a lot of effort in it, and it's one that I've seen a lot of people complain about the game, and while I understand it, I also feel that they have to understand the limitation of the game, is what if the confidants and the main story were interconnected? Like, basically, like, you actually had connectivity between all confidants in the main story.
Just like how, like, sometimes, like, when you're going out with one of the confidants, like one of the other confidants, like, comes in and like,
yes.
Oh, I didn't recognize that you came to this place.
Yeah, like more of that. Like, a few examples of what I'm talking about, and some sprinkling of some additions because they made sense for me. One is basically, as you remember, one of the ranks involving Yoshida has a news reporter recording him and for a news report, and Akira is there. So Sadayo actually gets to see Akira next to helping him out. Another one is, this is something later on, but basically this is where she starts to gain more trust in him, more like getting close to him. But she sees Akira following Iwai. And obviously Iwai is kind of a sketchy looking dude. So she gets kind of worried and follows them.
She's wondering why is my student hanging out with someone who's very sketchy looking?
Yes, worried that something's going on, that something might happen to him. And basically it has her overhearing this one of the rank events, which is the one where he has him be with, I think, what's his name? His son. I can't remember.
I remember his name. I remember his name. I just can't remember it at the moment. Like it was familiar.
Like, I didn't do Iwa's confidant rank. I was too busy trying to get the other, some of the main party members up.
Kaoru. There you go. Kaoru.
Kaoru. Yes.
Kaoru. Basically, the event where basically she oversees Akira talking to Kaoru, trying to help him understand his father, and then acting all like yes, we're negotiating illegal stuff with Iwai, and acting very differently, which has her thinking. And one of the ones, this is one of the things one of the things that I was going to add no matter what when I first started the story, is basically one other thing I always thought, which would have been perfect connectivity, is basically when she tells the story of her sister, Akira offers talking to Takemi.